Hi, this is Alyssa with HarborHome32.com. Welcome back. I am going to be doing a little bit of preserving and canning today. Well, I shouldn't say canning because I actually don't know how to actually can, but I'm going to be doing some preserving via fermenting and pickling. We have a lot of cucumbers and cabbage from our garden this year, and I gotta catch up. It's just been pouring in. And so we're gonna take this rainy, cozy Saturday to do a little bit of preserving and fermenting of our food. I'll share a little bit about how I do that as we go along. If you have never done any type of pickling or preserving, it's actually really simple. Again, like I mentioned, I actually don't know how to can, and so mine is literally just going to be some ferments, some regular vegetable ferments that will sit in our refrigerator for a while. My goal isn't I don't think we have enough food to even really last through the next year, so it's not going to be something that needs to sit at room temperature. We'll keep it in our little fridge downstairs and it'll last for many, many months. So we're going to make some sauerkraut today. We're also going to ferment and probably do a little pickling of cucumbers. Maybe some carrots as well, maybe some fermenting of carrots, because we got a lot of those in too, and I think we should use them up before they go bad. And so we're gonna tackle that today. So for making sauerkraut and pickles, there's just a few actually like equipment that you need. Cutting boards. Here you can see cutting boards and some knives, and then we've got all of our lids and a bunch of wide mouth mason jars. I also have collected other jars as we use them in our kitchen, so I might use some of those for the pickling aspect because they don't need to be fermented or heated or anything like that, and so you can just easily reuse like an old pickle jar. So we're gonna be doing that. I'll be using that kind of jar for some of this stuff. And then another thing that you will need is the fermenting weight of some kind. Now, some people use just whatever they have around their kitchen, or you can even go outside and get some like rocks from your landscape, put it in a Ziploc bag to use as a weight, but you'll need something to weigh down the item that you're fermenting so that the top of it doesn't get moldy. So as I said, it's a rainy Saturday here, and my sister-in-law, Jess, is here visiting us this weekend, so she's gonna help me do some of this pickling and preserving and fermenting. So we're gonna start with the cabbage. I'll show you guys kind of what we do here and describe it as we go. So what you'll see us doing here is peeling off some of the outer leaves of the cabbage. We're gonna put a few of these aside and save them for the actual jarring process. And then you're gonna cut the ends of the cabbage off and then quarter them. You will also want to make sure to take out the stem part of the cabbage, which can be kind of bitter tasting. And then you're just going to slice them really, really thinly into long strips of cabbage. And then after all of that is done, put it into a large bowl that you can easily squish, have enough space in the bowl to squish down the cabbage. And you're going to take 1 tablespoon of salt and sprinkle it over the cabbage and then massage it in until it gets a little juicy. This usually takes about 5 minutes, and then sometimes you can let it sit for a little while too, and it'll juice a lot faster. Okay, so that now we have chopped and massaged all of our cabbage with the salt. We let it sit for just a few minutes, and you can see the bottom, a little bit of brine that has formed. So this will continue to develop as long as the sauerkraut sits, and that is what will ferment the cabbage into sauerkraut. So now we're gonna stuff it into a jar, or multiple jars, depending on how many yeah, depending on how much space it takes up. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna stuff the cabbage into the jar that you're going to ferment it in. And I like to push it down with a little bit of a spoon to help just get everything in there really nice and tight so you can get as much in as possible. Also, a funnel goes a long way. This gets to be kind of a messy job. And then you're gonna take one of the cabbage leaves that you had set aside and put it on top of the cabbage. And then you're gonna take one of the fermenting weights and put it on. This is gonna allow everything to stay submerged in the brine. When it stays submerged in the brine, it will not mold. Anything on top that is not under the brine will start to mold because you're gonna be leaving these jars out for about a week before you put them in the refrigerator. And then you're going to take the lid and screw it on ever so lightly because you don't want a tight grip on these lids. What the fermenting process does is create a gas that will slowly escape out of the jar, and you want it to escape because if it doesn't escape, then it will make the jar explode. Definitely not something you want to have happen. And so you just leave the lid on ever so lightly for this entire week as you're letting it sit out on your counter. So after your week is up, you're going to take off the fermenting weight as well as the leaf that you had used to secure the ferment. Take that off, and then you can put the lid on, fully tighten it and put it in the refrigerator. This will keep for months and months and months in your refrigerator. I have 2 posts on HarborHome32.com with ways you can use a sauerkraut, and then I also have all of this tutorial laid out for you on the blog as well. One thing I forgot to mention is that when you let your sauerkraut sit out for the whole week to ferment, you are going to want to put it on a paper towel of some kind because they will leak. As this brine ferments the sauerkraut, it will kind of slowly squish down and more brine will come to the top. The bubbles will release to the top, which can sometimes make it overflow. So unless you want a kind of a stained countertop, make sure you put it on like a plate or a tray or paper towel of some kind, especially the red cabbage. This one will definitely stain things, so you'll want to make sure to do that. What we have to do next is figure out a way to preserve these cucumbers. So we got some pretty massive cucumbers. This is our first year growing cucumbers. So like I said in my other gardening videos, one video I made, I don't really know what we're doing. We don't know what we're doing. We're just experimenting, and we have been amazed at just what we have gotten. So this is one cucumber. It's so big, it looks like a zucchini. It's just massive. It's like a baseball bat, kind of a cucumber. But we've also got little ones like this. And so, yeah, we've got a lot of different sizes. We've got to figure out how to preserve them. I mean, I know how to preserve them. You can either lacto ferment, which is a great way to introduce a lot of gut healthy things into your gut to heal your gut, and also just probiotics in general are great for you. And so we'll probably do some of that, and that usually is just salt, water, and a few seasonings. But then you can also pickle them, which is more of like what they consider like an icebox pickle. So something that you would get at the store usually involves vinegar and some seasonings. And so I think we'll do a combination of that. My sister-in-law Jess just ran out to the store to get some vinegar because I realized I only have apple cider vinegar, which I think would be fine. I just think it's a little too strong and it's a little too different of a flavor. I want to just stick with the original vinegar, white distilled vinegar, to do this process because these are a lot of cucumbers and I don't want to mess it up because we'll have a ton of pickles then that didn't turn out if I use the wrong ingredients. So she's gonna get that. In the meantime, I'm gonna start chopping up these cucumbers. I'm first gonna divide them though into the different sizes, like the large, small, medium, just because like these, we may cut them into spears, like the spears that you see and use icebox pickles. And then these that are just like this, just gigantic, I think we'll do a little bit more like slicing and dicing. So that's the plan. We've enlisted the help of my hubby. There's Jess washing cans. Hey! We've got I found another bag of cucumbers in the fridge, and I found another cabbage, Jess. So there's a cabbage I missed. So I'm gonna have to make some more sauerkraut later. But look at all these pickles. What will be pickles? Or, yeah. Okay, we just finished. A little more worse for the wear here. But we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 jars of pickles. And I found another bag of pickles while I was in the refrigerator. We still have like, probably 10 more pickles or 10 more cucumbers in the fridge that we're just gonna eat. We're trying to eat fresh, eat as much as we can in the next week or so. And then we've got more coming out of the garden. So this probably won't be our only round of pickles. So for the recipe for the pickling brine, I really just kind of took a crack at it. I've done some pickling of lots of different things before, but as far as the actual pickle brine for this one, I really did a quick little guess because I would have had to multiply all my recipes by a bunch because I was making so many cans. What I saw in most pickling recipes was 2 parts, like 1 part water, 1 part vinegar. So like 2 cups vinegar, 2 cups water. So that was the ratio I went with. And then I added salt and sugar, the same ratio of salt and sugar. I heated that up over the stove and then poured all of the brine in with the seasoning. So I put in, you'll see me here putting in peppercorns, mustard seeds, dill, and garlic. That was the seasoning that I added to all of these jars. And then I poured the vinegar, or then I poured the pickling brine over the top. So it's a little bit of a gamble. I'm thinking it'll taste good. I had Jess, my sister-in-law, smell it. She thought it smelled just fine. So yeah, here's to hoping that it works and it tastes good. And we have 12 jars of pickles that are, 14. How many did I say? I don't even know. Jars of pickles that actually taste good. I'm a little nervous about that. But either way, it was fun. I learned something. I'll keep researching, keep doing all of the things so that I have amazing pickles every year, or I have the best brine recipe. I'm sure there's one out there, but it's really important to just go through a process on your own, figure it out, and you learn something new every time. Thank you so much for joining me as we had some fun in the kitchen on this rainy Saturday, preserving some of our produce from the garden. I hope you enjoyed it. Come back for more videos on simple living, whole food cooking, and hospitality. Bye!